As the evening sets over beautiful Lake Kiwi, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another edition of Let's Talk Oconee SC. Ladies and gentlemen, we start with the Flamingo Master himself, Chris Ruin.
My name is Cristobo.
Oh, excuse me, it's Cristobo.
Mucho gusto.
Mucho Gestapo.
I thought he was a white feller.
I bet you don't even know what a candelabra is.
I don't.
No, that's a candelabra.
That's right. Shit.
Is that like a small rodent?
That's right.
Is that like one of those small rodents?
Candelabra.
Oh, God. We got a whole great show to start off with. Matter of fact, the lighting is nice. I really like this. This is, it is the month of October the 1st, and it's a spooky month. Before we get started, how about introduce us to your new little invention over here that I have to say that your son did a wonderful job building.
I had it made in Spain. It actually, it's because people keep interrupting now. We're trying to create order for me to talk. So if I want to talk and nobody's let me talk, I push this button, the big white one. Now, when I'm talking, I push the red one. Okay? And that means I'm talking and nobody can talk. Now, when I'm done, so if Rannie says something like, hey, I'll say, no, what does that mean? What's that mean? And then when I'm done, I say, okay, I'm clear.
Nobody can talk when you're talking anyway.
And then I can do the But now I can control it.
All right. Well, first of all, as we begin the show, we had a great day. A lot of us here around the table. We were at certain events yesterday. Chris and I were at Sip and Stroll, and I'll ask you this question. There is no growth in Oconee, right?
No, none at all. I mean, we couldn't even see the street with everybody walking, but there's no growth, of course.
No,
you know?
no growth. And just hearing the stories of the people moving from everywhere to here. And now we've got people in state that are moving here.
Really?
From Hilton Head to Oconee. So we actually have people that live from South Carolina now moving into Oconee.
Are we vetting them for what they think?
No,
yeah,
probably
but,
not.
But according to our majority leader, Durham,
nobody's here, right? No
well,
growth.
yeah, but if they do show up and we don't know them, they're either a communist, a globalist, or a socialist trying to steal our property.
Yeah.
All those people stealing our property with those new subdivisions that we have no growth.
I've heard that all my life.
Serious question, though. Mm-hmm. Is it illegal to be any of those things?
No. Not in America.
Not according to the Constitution.
That's what I thought.
You can be anything you want.
Just checking.
Now,
real quick, before we go any further, because I promised that I'd do this, and I don't want to forget, I want to talk about the Freedom Fund Awards Banquet. It's the 37th annual NAACP Oconee County branch.
Yeah.
It's going to be Saturday, October 21st at 6 p.m. It's $35 for adults, $15 for 18 and under. If you want to sponsor a table, it's $350. And it's going to be at 298 South Poplar Street at the Seneca River Association Family Life Center.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
I said that I would announce that. And
Sean,
wanted to make sure
Sean
that I
sent
didn't
that
let
in.
them down. Yep.
That's very good. Y'all had the opportunity yesterday at South Cove for the hunting and fishing day. How did that go?
I tell you what, that was a very great day. I had so much fun. I'm sunburnt. I had great neighbors. Candace was just across the way. But they was hundreds and hundreds of kids. Kathy came out with her son. They got to experience the swing set. And,
we got to do lots of swinging.
Apparently, that's all they wanted to do, right?
Yeah, he really liked the swing set. Yeah,
and it was a great time. I took bees out there for the kids to see. Everybody really
likes
enjoys
the
bees, the alligators, the snakes. And I got introduced to the fishing this year at the National Hunting and Fishing Day. I didn't know that just off the side of one of the piers they put a big net out full of catfish so the kids can catch them and keep them. And I've been doing this for 3 years, and this is the first year that I actually saw some kids walk by with a tub of catfish that was taken home. I thought that was really cool.
I'm really glad he did not see those because he will grab a catfish.
But no, I'm going to tell you what, I guess it's Trout Unlimited and South Cove Park and all those folks that put that on, man. They do a spectacular job. It was a little bit of talk about maybe it was the wrong weekend because there was everything else going on. Had the Hike for Hope
Well,
that went on, the Sip and Stroll, and the National Hunting and Fishing. But there's
got
only so many opportunities to do something when
And you
Clemson is
had
away.
Listen,
beautiful weather
was-
yesterday.
It was beautiful,
It was
and I'm gonna tell
perfect.
you, we came late because I was hoping people would be cleared out. There were still people parked all the way up to the gate on the grass. So, but again, no growth.
No growth.
No growth.
No
not
growth.
a bit.
So there's-
They had people shuttling. They were shuttling people from over on the grass and the parking lots in golf carts.
And I talked to a lot
So-
of people that weren't from Oconee County
Yeah.
that were here vacationing because it's one of the last weekends to be able to do this. And they're like, wow, is this what Oconee's like all the time?
Yeah.
And I was like, for the most part. But there's 25 people here that would like to run you off. So, yes,
Don't
Oconee
come
is a
here.
great
Yeah.
place. Please come. Please join us so that we can outnumber them and get rid of them. Please come.
And spend your money.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to start off the show. We've got a lot to get to. One of the things is that we, over the weekend, Saturday, apparently there is an issue with the school district of Oconee County concerning the buses. And I want to say, first of all, that the school district of Oconee gets an A+ this time because they were the ones that actually have addressed a potential issue about interference of a school bus. And they actually came forth. They gave the information. It was in the newspaper. They didn't try to sweep it under the rug. And again, kudos to the school district of Oconee County. I have to, I will tell it like it is, and I'll call when it's called. And they did a wonderful job of informing the public about the potential situation where, it is illegal for a parent to interfere with the operation of a school bus. And in the article, it talked about some of the discipline issues that are happening that is going on. So they at least acknowledged that there was a potential issue. They brought it to the forefront. And today on this program, they get an A+ from me by keeping the community informed. And I'm very pleased that they did that.
Well, you know what? Think about how dangerous that is. You got a bus driver driving a bunch of kids, and you get an irate parent that
It happens.
is trying to make a point and trying to lose control of their emotions purposely. If they get a problem, they can go to the administration. But they start boarding that bus, people don't know what's going to happen.
That's
They're
right.
gonna shoot somebody. I mean, that's serious stuff.
Well, it was. I'm very thankful though because they could have easily swept this and not explained anything, but they did. They talked about it. It was in the journal, and kudos and A+'s efforts for the school district for getting out this information. And again, I know firsthand what they go through, and it's not an easy job to be a bus driver in school in Oconee or any bus driver, particularly in the state of South Carolina. It can be a huge headache having to deal with anywhere from 50 to 70 something children on a bus, trying to get them back and forth, get them home safely. So kudos to the school district of Oconee County. Randy, we've got an interview coming up here at 7:20. Is that correct? We're going to talk to Jim Mann.
Yeah, he wants to talk about the town hall
Okay.
and the progress that the Republican Party is making for that. He's got some other information you probably ask him about.
Okay.
The state EC meeting happened.
Yeah, we'll find out about how
this-
that went.
this
And
yesterday.
yeah.
And there's a lot of things going on over in Greenville too. So
Well-
it's hard to tell where that interview would go. It might not go anywhere. But
Well, we are worried.
definitely-
We are aware, though, that the same gentleman that had been helping the OCC through their trials and tribulations and giving them all sorts of wonderful advice, he was actually escorted out of the state EC meeting yesterday. Is that correct?
So I don't think he actually
Bless
made
his
it
heart.
through enough doors to get into the meeting before security had told him to move on.
Well,
Bless it.
there's an interesting article that you sent us this morning from the Times Examiner. Have you guys had a chance to read that? It's pretty interesting that if you read this article, and again, at the end of the show, if you would post that to the Facebook page for folks to be able to read, it really describes the similarities of what happened last year over here in Oconee with the former chairman and what was going on. And I think the article sets it straight that the ECs are in charge of the Republican Party. The chairman is there just to initiate, oversee, preside, and follow the directions of the EC.
The chairman should not be more than a mouthpiece for the party.
Right.
Should look good, smell good, and say pleasant things. The ECs are the ones that direct the path of the party, and that's really what was the problem a year ago when the OCC took over OCRP and immediately moved to change the bylaws to make sure that the chairman was directly in charge of everything, and which that allowed him to stand on his soapbox podium and say, as long as I'm here, I will rule this place. And, well, that's not how it works, and that's not how it'll ever work again, at least in Oconee County.
Well, you know, we are going to address the interview a little bit later on in the show that Luke and Jennifer Moore did from More to the Story. There's a lot of things in there that I think we can discuss tonight, and I'd love to have our folks, if they're interested, I'd love to hear if you've watched the interview. Let me hear your thoughts and comments. I think it'd be a great opportunity for you folks to actually join us here on the show, and let's talk about this, because there was some things that was brought up that makes you go, wow. I mean, the wow factor was involved in a lot of this stuff, and we're going to talk a little bit later on about that.
So I got a question about this box, this contraption. Now, if you push the red button, Chris can't talk.
No.
Which
That's
one
not
is it?
true. First of all, this box, Chris's box.
Okay.
I own this.
All right.
Now, well, it's important
Just
because I
explain it
know
to
you're
me
going to get
again.
grubby. This means I'm alerting people.
Okay.
Okay, now Jeff can say Chris can talk. So when I can talk, I do that, and that means you can't talk. The red one.
But watch
Jeff,
this. But
Jeff,
watch
show-
this.
Show everybody the red one.
I can keep on. Y'all ready to continue the show?
It's red too.
No, it's.
Now, Jeff,
He thinks he's on the air and he's not.
what? I'm not on anymore.
He
So,
wasn't.
All right. So,
I have the ultimate
All right,
control,
but-
Chris.
but-
What did you do? Where the heck is the interview going?
but I want to say something, and I don't want the show to go crazy.
Is
Okay.
it on
All
the
right.
show? Is it on the show?
So,
Now it is.
Oh, thank you.
I was listening to, and I don't want to talk about it any further than the statement that I make, but it's very important that we say this.
Okay.
I was listening to radio on the way down here. The budget got extended for the government for 45 days.
Oh, this
For
is-
okay.
But what does that have to do with
So,
local?
well, it doesn't.
Hold on.
But here, listen to this. The McCarthy came together with the Democrats to get it done.
Right.
And he left those folks that are causing all the chaos out of it and moved forward. And that's what's happening at the state level, and it's going to start happening here at the local level. So hopefully, what I want to say is that's ran its course across the nation.
You think?
I hope, because that was a major step for McCarthy, and I don't really want to talk about it no more. So, but other than we can work together everywhere.
Go ahead.
I think that's a nice point.
I do. I think it's an excellent point.
I think it's a good point, but let's not give him too much credit because the only thing. No,
Here
wait,
it comes.
No. What?
You got your button over there, right?
I want to state a fact. That's all.
Go ahead.
Okay. He made an agreement, and he did not stick to it. McCarthy didn't. And what happened is he did. He made an agreement. They would fund it. They wouldn't. They would not turn off the government. Well, now all this chaos happened, and it got so close. And in the end, the Democrats did help him. My thinking is, who knows what's going to happen? I think McCarthy is just trying to survive another day. We'll see what happens in 45 days.
Well, I just think that we're all in trouble, period, because you've got a bunch of people that can't even sit down around the table and figure out how to get the
Yeah.
country out of the situation that we're in. We're in a free-for-all trajectory, have been for 4 or 5 years, spending way more money than we've actually got. We're printing money like there's no tomorrow. And at what point is what generation is going to have to pick up the pace and pay the bill? What is the actual average consumption now? The average taxpayers to pick the bill was at 25. Oh, it's got to be more than 25,000 now. There was a study just a couple of weeks ago that talks about every taxpayer is on the hook for, if there's $300 million,
Right.
$25,000. But it just seems like this didn't happen overnight. We've been kicking the beer can down the road for years and years.
Right. But it's
Right.
about working together. Both
Well, I
sides
know, I
being
get
able
it.
to work together.
Right, right. And it's also about if I tell you, if I commit to something, then it's important that you're able to walk away and say, okay, we might not agree, but he made a commitment, and he's an honorable man, and he's going to honorable man or woman, and he's going to honor it.
You know, I just think generally the people want to have elected representatives that are trying to do the right thing. And I just still find it so interesting that we elect these people and they go in and, you know, how in the world do you get the $10, $20 million that some of these representatives have amassed in this wealth? That really puzzles me, because I didn't realize that you could make that much money as being a senator or a congressman, but yet it's millions and millions of dollars when they come out.
Yeah,
Does that not shock or surprise anybody?
Is it true?
But you got to think about the whole picture too. They keep us spun up and distracted with wedge issues.
Absolutely.
About, you know, books in the library and stuff like that, when, you know, all you got to do is keep the thing shut and don't pick it up if you don't like it. And then they're out here doing their thing, you know, in
buying ranches in Montana.
in theaters and whatnot, and they get people spun up about other stuff, that, you know, they're having affairs, this and that, and we get hung up on their personal lives like it's a soap opera. I mean, you know, it's because they're saying one thing and doing another, and it's ugly when what we should be focusing on is just this, you know.
Well, wedge issues are affecting everything right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't even go to church on Sunday morning without there being some sort of division between everyone, and that's our saving grace as a group of 4 people here is we're dedicating ourselves to recognizing those wedges,
right,
and staying away from them.
Well, you've got you mentioned churches. There's a wedge being drawn in the United Methodist Church. I mean, it's a battle that right now, as a Methodist, that I'm having to face. You know, I'm not saying that Ann Hope's going to pack up the bags and leave the United Methodist Church, but there's a lot of division. And at the end of the day, it's just getting worse and worse. And, you know, Salem United Methodist has already pulled out of the state, South Carolina United Methodist conference. So,
and I've heard that up on the mountain at the Double Springs Church, they're having a lot of chaos there because of that. I guess South Carolina's got another year before they're going to decide how to distribute property or whatever. You know, and some folks want to just go ahead and leave. And some people want to kind of stay and see how much it's going to cost to buy the church back. I was raised a Methodist up in Virginia too. My granny, she's 86, and this is what is her twilight. This is the chaos that she has to deal with. You know, when that church had 8 members, she was the one funding everything for the church. Right. You know, she put a new roof on it, she paid the electric bill, all that stuff, and now the Methodists are going to say, well, if you don't accept gay preachers, we're going to just take the building from you. And she's 86, and that's what she's thinking about right now.
Yeah. Okay, a couple of comments that we have. I want to say hello and good evening to Bo Davis. Bo, it's glad to have you join us on our show tonight. Jennifer Moore has checked in, wanted to make a comment. It's happening in other counties, and she's referencing to about Lexington's having a big meeting tomorrow, particularly with all the issues that's going on in the Republican Party. Larry Deek, good evening to you, sir. Credit card debt toppled $1 trillion, so we're not exactly leading by example. Well,
he ain't wrong.
But he's not wrong. But then again, there's a question that people are having to depend on credit cards just to survive. Because it's the truth. People are having to live paycheck to paycheck, robbing Peter to pay Paul, because events happen in life. And when the events happen in life, no matter how financially secure you think you are, you're not. Medical can wipe out anything and everything.
Have you seen a breakdown of the inflation now compared to, what was it, the Great Depression?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's worse now than it was then.
You know, 60 to 70% of the debt that Americans encounter is medical. If you have a terminal illness, such as cancer, it will wipe you out. It will destroy your family. And what makes, you know, with me having a heart attack.
It will bankrupt you.
Well, for me, it almost.
Stage 4 cancer will bankrupt a family.
A heart attack will bankrupt you too.
Yes.
Back surgery, being out. Those are things that will.
And this is a right to work state. They don't care.
Nope.
They will fire you. And that is it.
But that other group that we talk about constantly wants to throw daggers. Pay your bills, man. Well, sometimes.
Oh, and hate unions.
Yeah.
Whereas if you had a union and you became ill,
Boy, they're really going to hate unions when they got to buy their next Ford.
yeah.
One other couple more comments. Jennifer says the premise of the whole McMahan interview, and we're going to talk about that, was the distraction that it has created. We're going to talk a little bit because we know now that he is sitting around this evening. We should say good evening to David McMahan because he's recorded every one of these shows just looking for something. So evening to you, David. I'm glad to have you as the number one fan of Let's Talk Oconee. Do y'all agree?
Yes, and I'd like
He's
to
definitely
dedicate.
top 3.
Let's give him an applause, shall we?
I would like to dedicate this Candel de la Barra to him, to David.
Capybara. It's
De
a
la
small
Barra.
rodent.
And I was
Felt like
as
that.
frightened as he was
Chupacabra.
when I saw that ram standing on 2 legs holding this Candle de la Barra.
I actually love this right here because here's what's going on camera. Chris doesn't even know it. It's actually blocking his face.
Yeah, you can't see him.
I'm looking at y'all and I can see y'all and I can't see Chris. It really is. It's great.
Hey, it's 7:21.
Yep, we're going to do that. I got to take a break and I'll establish it. One more
And I got to
comment.
let the dog in.
Larry says average 25% interest. Yes, a medical tax. There you go. All right, Larry. Thank you for checking in. Do you see the comment?
Which one? Which one?
Oh.
We'll talk about that
We'll talk
later.
about that later. Hey, and my wife, hope that she's getting to feeling better. She is having a rough time right now, folks. The really adds something to the broadcast. I do. It looks like we're sitting around the table. Where's the Ouija? Did you bring the Ouija board?
No.
Is the OCC going away?
I should have brought the magic 8-ball.
You should have. All right, here we go. We're going to get out of here and take a quick break. When we come back in just a few moments, we've got an interview with Jim McMahon's going to be
Jim Mann, not McMahon.
Jim McMahan. He's the quarterback for the Chicago Bears. Excuse me. Jim Mann will be joining us coming up here at 7:20 right after we take this quick
Manly
message here.
man.
Yeah, there you go. Stay tuned. More of Let's Talk Oconee SC. And again, let's talk OconeeSC.com. Jennifer, I agree. It looks like we're having church on this Sunday evening.
Hey.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jazzy Jeff, inviting you to join us for a night of celebration for the biggest fundraiser for the Oconee Humane Society. And not only are we celebrating the 10th annual Wags and Whiskers Gala, it's the 50th anniversary of the Oconee Humane Society. We would love to see all of you and all our friends at this year's Wags and Whiskers event. The event helps fund a compassionate future for all animals in Oconee County. This year, an amazing anonymous donor has agreed to match funds up to $25,000. And are you up to the challenge? Get your tickets now. For more information on tickets, email gala@oconeehumane.org, or you can call Bonnie at area code 781-264-2686. And join us right here on Sunny 107.9 WFBS and LakeKiwiRadioOnline.com as we broadcast live from the Wags and Whiskers Gala. And yours truly here will be the MC. The Wags and Whiskers Gala, the 50th anniversary celebration for the Oconee Humane Society, October 20th from 6 to 9 at the club at Kiwi Key. Get your tickets now. Coming up October the 14th in beautiful Salem, South Carolina, ladies and gentlemen, the great sounds of Elvis returns with Jim Reisner to the Eagle Nest Art Center. Coming up October the 14th from 7 until 9 p.m. Jim Reisner returns for a wonderful evening remembering Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll. Now, to ensure your seat, purchase your tickets in advance for this previous sold-out show. $25 in advance, 30th day of the show, and it's all happening at the Eagle Nest Art Center. It's an evening with Jim Reisner, and it's the Elvis Tributes. The king of rock and roll, Elvis lives in Salem, October the 14th from 7 to 9. For more information and get your tickets, visit eaglenestartcenter.org/events. That is the Elvis Tribute starring Jim Reisner at the Eagle Nest Art Center, happening once again October the 14th. For more information and get your tickets, you can do that right now at eaglenestartcenter.org/events. It's a night of great Elvis tunes. Know what I mean? I think you do. Elvis has left the building. I love that little remix there from the movie. You can't handle the truth. There goes David McMahan. That is the official theme song of the Luke Moore and Jennifer Moore More of the Story interview that we will discuss coming up here very shortly for you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. It is 7:25. It is a Sunday. And on our Let's Talk Oconee guest line, let's welcome the current and wonderful chairman of the Oconee County Republican Party. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Jim Mann, not to be confused with Jim McMahan. So there you go. Hey, Jim, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm good, Jeff. I'm doing very good, and that was all too kind of introduction.
Oh, well, I'm just in rare form today here on the program. Rannie, I'll let you start off. You can, y'all each can ask a question. Jim, roundtable here. So, Rannie, I'll let you start first.
Well, let's just start off, Jim. Tell us about the town hall.
Yeah. So October 10th at 6:30 at the American Legion in Walhalla, Post 124, we're going to have our public town hall event with the county council. And the topics of discussion are open to any county business, but focused on the budget and the budget approval process. And anyone and everyone can send their questions to Riley Morningstar at the Seneca Journal. He'll be moderating the event. And he's going to also screen the questions, consolidate them so we're not asking duplicates, and those will be pulled at random in real time at the event for posing to the county council. And you'll see an ad in the paper coming out early this week in regards to that. So we're going to advertise in the Seneca Journal. Of course, here we are with Let's Talk Oconee and also with WGOG.
Awesome. And it's open to anybody in the county.
That's right. I've talked to Jody Gollin, and just short of putting the donkey and the elephant on the ad, we're aligned.
Okay. Is there any need to RSVP to the event or just show up?
No, there's no need to RSVP for the event. We can hold around 120, and it'd be great if we could pack it out. I think we actually, from a fire marshal standpoint, can put more in there, but we're limited on chairs.
Okay, awesome.
So I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to make a plug for that. I think it's important for everybody in the county to understand what's gone on with this budget and how it's degressed and now progressed. And hopefully we'll get some answers to our questions.
Jim, I want to ask you a question. I know that you
Sure.
and David Dial and Terry went down to Columbia over the weekend, and some interesting things happened down there. Can you talk a little bit about what happened down at the Executive State Committee meeting?
Sure. This was our quarterly state executive committee meeting with Chairman Drew McKissick, of course, he's the RNC co-chair. But at the start of that event, before we even got kicked off, Jeff Davis, the current EC from Greenville County, who you guys well know has an infamous relationship with the Oconee County Party over time, was turned around and escorted out for attempting to attend the meeting, which he's been banned from attending because of his shenanigans. The executive committee and at the state level has banned him from attending. But nonetheless, he wanted to make a scene, so he attempted to attend. But this time, his county representation didn't defend him, so that was kind of interesting.
Well, we
in favor with Greenville County.
We read an article that was in the Times Examiner this afternoon that we found very interesting too. That the ECs, it seems like that they're actually having the same issues that we had last year in our party developing in the Greenville County Republican Party.
Well, they're certainly following the state rules to keep their leadership in check. And that being, the chairman, he has the option of calling meetings countywide. But as long as you have a consensus of precincts that feel like it's important to have a meeting, they can also call meetings. And that's exactly what's going on. We did that in Oconee County, September and October of last year, and they're on that same train now to try and get things reined in. So it's good for Greenville County that they're moving in that direction.
Chris Ruin, you have a question for Jim.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand.
Chris.
Hi.
How you doing?
Wonderful. So, Jim, this meeting on the 10th, from the council, who's going to attend?
Well, I don't have good clarification on that, Chris. I mean, for sure, Dean Davis and John Elliott are going to be in attendance, save accepted.
Okay.
The other three council members have not accepted. In fact, some at least
said
one
they're
has
not
come
coming.
out very, very specifically saying he's not going to attend. But I'm still hoping they'll change their mind. We're still going to do everything by the books. You know, let me step back and say, Mr. Durham originally agreed to attend the town hall with him and John Elliott, but he put so many conditions out there that really, that would have never happened unless we abided by all his conditions, which were unreasonable and would have ended up in a chaotic event. So I don't even think that was in good faith an offer to have a town hall with just him and Mr. Elliott.
I don't either. I was just going to say, you know, I mean, you're trying to do your best, and I know Jody, Marianne, everybody else wants to hear it too. But if you just got those two guys, the only question I would have is, you're not going to get the answers you really want. And my deal is, I'd be very suspicious why those three don't even want to come. It tells me they're hiding something.
Well, I don't know that. I think that,
I think so.
Julian and John will give you the truth. Mm-hmm. They'll give you the answers. Now, I know a lot of us want to have the truth come out of Durham's mouth, and we want to know what Hart has to say, and we'd certainly like to see what Mr. Mize has to say. But you know what? If they're not willing to show up and give us that, we'll just make sure we don't show up for them when it's time to vote.
Yeah, I think if you can't answer simple questions from your constituents, then you're not serving them.
I agree.
And it doesn't matter what party or if you're even party affiliated, because it's your job to serve and answer to those constituents, even if they didn't come out and vote. You represent those people.
Absolutely.
And why they can't get that through their heads. I mean, it's a town hall. It's not a firing squad. I mean, I don't understand. It's just baffling to me. What is the big hang up? I mean, and some of the big hang up that I just can't, seems to be with Mr. Hart, is that it was your idea. And and I don't understand that either, because I just want to say, and I'm an independent. I am not party affiliated. I want to hear what they have to say. And there are so many people like me in this county.
I want to say this. Going back to Thursday night's Republican meeting that we had here in Oconee, I had the pleasure of attending and recording it. There was something that really struck a chord with me in David Nix and what he said. I am beginning to believe that the elected official that's supposed to be in charge isn't the one doing the budget. There's a feeling that I have that David Nix is the one that is the master behind this budget.
He certainly says we.
He says
we.
Which takes you back to the whole thing where when they're talking about quorums, you wonder, what constitutes a quorum? When they have this group, would a quorum be when people from this OCC and who are also in the Republican Party are getting together and having dinners and posting pictures? Would it also include someone who is on a planning commission?
Well, those are good questions. I think probably Mr. Nix was the most offended one in the group when I happened to turn over a little $300,000 mistake. But,
It's just a Scribner's error. Just a Scribner's error.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey,
But what I do want to say is, taxes are indiscriminate. It doesn't matter what party affiliation is. Agree? We're all going to get hit with this.
Right.
And the problem is a lot of people just are not aware that it's coming. And at the magnitude that it's coming. This is something bigger than Oconee County has ever done before.
Yes.
The budget's bigger now. This proposed bond is a general obligation bond, which can only be funded by increasing and leveraging the taxes on our people. So it's important. People are going to know about it, but by the time they know about it, it'll be too late unless they come to this town hall.
Okay. Randy, you did Chris one
I
more
just have-
question, and Randy,
yeah.
I want to follow final question from Randy.
So Jim,
All right.
I'm just going to. I'm. It's not a question. It's really a statement as a private citizen. So
Okay.
you've got this group, this OCC, and I'm not targeting them. They maybe they feel like they're going to be ambushed. Who knows? But you really think about it. We got 5 councilmen. We only have 2 willing to come out and talk. So with all the changes, the types of things that we've seen, my personal opinion is, and I'm not talking about them as individuals, I'm talking about them as a collective group. With what we've seen in the budget and what they've said, I think they're lying. And when they're lying about this, they don't want people to see it. And what's happening is you're seeing it in all this uncontrolled growth. Growth is good. It just needs to be planned so you don't have the impact.
Right.
But when you look
you
at
gotta
that,
throttle it.
right, and then when you have this type of budget where they're talking about they're patting each other on the back in a restaurant after they do this big cut, and then we find out that all they did is add it, and now they're out there looking for another $25 million. Everybody needs to understand that stuff's not free.
Well, I want to explain something after we get done with the interview, that there's the potential that we really don't need the bond, and I'll explain what I'm talking about in a few minutes.
And that's a bombshell.
Yeah, this is a bombshell.
Yeah.
Randy, let me go to
just-
you.
Let me say one
Okay.
thing in response to Chris.
Okay.
There is no way that they can speak to the fact that we're calling them out. We've already had a town hall with Representatives Sandifer and Whitmire. We've had a town hall with Jeff Duncan. We have a town hall now scheduled with Lindsey Graham jointly with Anderson and Pickens County for November 21st. So this is just a healthy process to stay engaged with our elected officials and their constituents. Should have been done in Oconee County and in other counties on a lot more frequent occurrence, because that's the only way that you can stay in touch with our elected officials and let them know we approve, disapprove, or give them any kind of feedback.
And you're right, Jim, because
We're not
what that
singling
is,
them out.
you've got the small minority controlling the majority by obstinance is what it is.
All right, Randy.
But I appreciate that comment, Chris.
All right, Randy, I'm going to let you do the final question, and I think this is something that needs to be addressed.
So yeah, and before I ask that question, I do want to say that the party this year has done more than the party did the previous 2 years.
Exactly.
And if you go back even further, I know that there was some movement in the party, but it wasn't nothing like what we wanted, and that may have been what spurred a lot of this OCC taking it over or whatever. But once the forest fire happened, the flowers are starting to bloom, and Jim, you're making them grow, and it's you're doing a great job. You and your team have done a really, really good job in advancing the party, but not just for the party; it's for everybody in the county, and that's just very commendable. And if the OCC will never write you a resolution that says thank you, I just want to do it right now on the air.
Well, I appreciate that, Randy, but this is a team effort, and ideas come from the bottom up. I try and facilitate things so that people feel free to bring their ideas forward, but we got to work with good ideas for the right reasons, headed in the right direction. So, but I appreciate that. It's been a team effort. Everybody has contributed.
All right, so here comes the question. While you were going out in Golden, Colorado, drinking all them banquet beers and having all that good time.
Hey, did you know Blue Moon is brewed in Rocky Stadium? I
Really?
didn't know that.
No, I
Isn't
didn't,
that cool?
I didn't know that
All
either.
right, go ahead. Sorry.
All right, so while you were out there on a Monday, the more to the story had an interview with your predecessor,
Mm-hmm.
and he said a whole lot of stuff. And mainly, he said that you and I were associates, which I am glad.
Known associates.
I am glad to be associated with Jim, man. I want to say that right now.
Well,
He
Known
said,
associates.
we enjoy lunch together and talking together. We
And-
don't always agree on everything,
right.
but we're still associates. That's right.
So, and I am proud of that association. I am proud of my association with Chris Rowan and Kathy and Jeff and Charles Morgan and Candace Hunt and anybody else that wants to associate with me. I'm very proud of it. And I'm proud that those other people don't associate with me. That's okay with me. But anyways, that interview was very interesting. And I wanted to know, have you seen the whole thing yet?
No, I haven't seen the whole thing. I've seen bits and pieces. I'm not on social media, Facebook per se, so I borrow a phone here and there, and I don't know. I'm missing everything. I've tried to watch it, but I can't watch everything. Well, I've caught the beginning, the middle, and the end. That's about how it goes.
Right. So, he brought up a lot about the October meeting. Or was it the September meeting? I don't remember
September.
it like I don't remember like it was yesterday. I can't remember that far back, and I'll shake your hand on that. But anyways, after that meeting, when I stuck around and you went in and cleaned up, that we got this charge of larceny against us about a notebook.
Let me clear that. You never got charged.
So I don't know.
We never got
In the interview, he says that we have pending larceny charges against us. That was a year ago. I mean, is this something that you'd be interested in having an interview and dwelling on that old stuff, or is it just time to move on?
Well, David Dial and I talked yesterday because we drove back and forth, and there was stuff that we could have teed off on once we got everything back and about the notebooks and the assets of the party. There were differences. There were gaps in the bank account records. There were gaps in spending. The money wasn't what it should have been, but we were happy to get back what we got and wanted to move forward. Unfortunately, Wells Fargo Bank would not cooperate with us. A bank account that's been open for 31 years. We went as high as we could, but they insisted we'd have to have a court order to go back and get all the bank records. And I'm like, I'm done with court. I mean, I did my time with Roberta Barton in magistrate court, and I had enough of it. So
I feel you there.
I think, something that's interesting in church this morning, Greg Overham spoke about being stuck in the past. And unfortunately, McMahan is stuck in the past. Greg brought out, acknowledge the past, I think leverage the present, and plan for the future. And the past is what it is. There was a lot of misstatements, starting with the very first one that I heard during that interview, that are complete lies. And but we're trying to move things forward. I want to continue to focus on moving things forward. If we have to acknowledge what happened in the past and clear up any of the misstatements that were made, which I heard several, then maybe we'll have to do that. But I prefer just to keep moving forward because we've got some good momentum. The party's growing. The interest in the direction the party's headed is high, and the opposition is dwindling. So, I think from a leadership perspective, we're happy. There's always more that we can do, but remember, this is a volunteer organization. So
right. Well,
we got to move in the nighttime when we're not doing what we need to do with our careers to stay afloat and pay increasing taxes that the county council is going to levy on us.
Right, and I think that's important, and I think that's probably where the OCC and McMahan regime lost the party, is that it is a volunteer organization. And if people aren't comfortable and satisfied with the outcome, then they're not going to be there anymore. And the party left them, and they have been left. And I think a lot of the parties around the state are starting to see that. Lexington and Greenville and Horry County is probably going to be next. This flu is going away.
Okay, got one final question, and we'll let Jim go. Chris?
All right,
sure.
Real quick. Well, one, I think I'm speaking for the entire county. The first one is, I'm very pleased that you don't have to do a hard time on that notebook. Jim.
I did have to talk to Sled about it.
Well, you know what? You didn't have to do a hard time, and my prayers were answered. I do have one question. Can you please tell me, do you know what a candelabra is?
I posted a picture.
Do you know what that candelabra is? You know what that is? That we have a hard time trying to understand what that is.
But you can look it up on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can look it up.
Yeah,
It's an
since my
altar where
dad-
you put candles, where you
Yeah,
have a
since-
ram standing on two legs.
Yeah, my dad was Episcopal, so I'm pretty familiar with the
Really?
candelabra liturgy associated
I
with
was
the
raised
church.
Episcopalian too.
Yes. Well, my dad was Episcopal, my mom was Baptist, so I got the blend.
There you go.
got the good blend. You got the good kind. All right. Well, Jim, I appreciate all you do for the county and Republican Party, and I appreciate you also taking the initiative and working with everybody to, get a town hall meeting. I think there's questions that need to be answered. And one final moment thing there, that most of this came out because of the resolution that was trying to give the 3 council member accolades for cutting the budget, and that's why this town hall came forward. Again,
Oh God, that was
Ironic,
wonderful.
isn't it?
yeah, the cut forward. They cut the budget, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, the budget's more than it was on the original budget.
But there was only like 2 or 3 that kept cheering them on. Then later in the audience, oh, you just don't understand. One of them was next.
yeah, I know.
Well, the thing about it is that kind of thing is just to create divisiveness in the party. And,
That's it.
the OCC is bringing these long, drawn-out resolutions that they sound really good to bring them forward so we can fight about them. But what we're starting to find,
Save
I
a
think,
tree, man. Save a tree.
what I'm starting to find is that they're copying that stuff from somewhere else, and the reason it sounds good is because somebody's already doing it and it's already working. So you're just taking and wasting time where the county could be doing things that are helpful on the county level.
That just
You mean
says
like
they don't
copying
have very
a
good.
law?
Something, my friend.
Yeah.
All right,
You are
Jim.
onto something.
All right, Jim, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Let's Talk
Jim,
Oconee.
And,
bet.
and the
Hey, one
town
last
hall
thing.
was a great idea,
Jim's
by
got
the
one
way.
more thing.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Jim.
So one last thing for Chris and Kathy. I've talked with Jody Gollum. I want you guys to give her a call. Let's make sure that this event is well attended on both sides of the aisle.
I
Absolutely.
will talk to her this
All right,
week.
guys.
All right.
All
Thanks,
right.
Jim. Appreciate
Thanks.
it. All right. Bye-bye.
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 Jim Mann, the chairman of the Oconee County Republican Party, with some wonderful comments this evening. I thought that was an excellent interview, you guys. We did. Explained a few things and discussed this town hall meeting. I'm going to attend. I'm going to be there. I want to see, regardless if we broadcast it or not, I want to hear out of my own ears. I want to hear it for myself. Because the bombshell that I wanted to talk about a little bit before we go any further,
Is it this?
no, that's not it. What if I told you that there is a potential windfall forthcoming in the county budget? I bet the OCC right now is going, well, what is Jeff talking about? Is he spreading that propaganda lies again? No, I'm not. But there is a potential for maybe 7, 8, maybe 10 more extra $1 million coming in the budget.
They knew.
I wonder how Jeff knows that.
Wait, how's that going to happen?
Well, there's a potential tax. Well, a couple. Let me just say for the record that there's a manufacturing company that has come through and paid their taxes, so to speak.
Oh, that's good.
And then there was an issue that's coming with a major manufacturer here in Oconee County that, it's going to potentially give us about $7 more million. And on top of that, we really never needed the $25 million bond.
Well, I'm sure that's the case, but I mean, I'm sure that other $7 million it came from a failure of their plant in the county government anyway.
Right.
So I can't wait till this comes out.
$25 million that they're still signing for that's going to turn into $50 in debt that we have to pay, right?
We have the money and the capabilities to be able to do it without the bond.
But you know what? Here's the thing. I know.
But we don't even know what we're
we
doing
all-
with it.
No.
We all are different in our beliefs and our religion and things. And I certainly believe that the Lord and the Holy Spirit talk to us in some form.
You get the
Now,
yeah.
Now, our county sent a delegation to New York City this week to discuss
New
the
York
bond.
City.
Right?
And it flooded too.
And there was
and it flooded
and there was
too in New York.
torrential
that's right.
rains
Yeah.
that flooded the streets, flooded the place. If that's not sign enough for you as a praying for people Christian to back off of this bond thing, I don't know what is. I mean, do you need locusts? Do you need frogs?
Lightning. They
Do you
needed
need
lightning.
What do you need? But
You know, Randy, I never had thought about that.
Well,
Maybe it was a sign.
I think the sign was when they weren't telling us what they were going to use the money for. And then when we tried to find out about it, it's like, well, the justification for this $100+ million is just common sense. And that was David Nix. I remember that.
But I'm just saying, you go there, and you get terrible weather, Senior El Nino or whatever they want to call it, coming back through there. Put your hat on. Let me have it. I want to say Senior El Nino.
No, because I know you have a big head.
Well,
go ahead.
Anyways, that had to have been a sign from their deity, whatever it is over there in Mountain Rest. Because we're all different, and freedom of religion means we can all be different. It doesn't mean we all have to be Baptist. But that's a sign. It had to be a sign.
Or independent Baptist.
Well, like Roger says, it's not a sign. That was a billboard. Don't do it.
These guys.
Hey, billboards are important. They're important.
These guys are reckless because they're arrogant, and they're spending money that we don't have. This is not a Republican issue. It's not a Democrat issue. It is an issue around financial smartness, being able to really understand and articulating the money.
But what Jeff is saying is we have the money. We have
exactly.
They're getting the
there.
For what, though? I mean, we don't even know what it's
right.
for.
They're borrowing money at the worst possible time to borrow money.
The
inflation
interest is
crazy,
at an all-time
right?
high.
They're borrowing money that we don't need that money.
Yeah, but
and they don't know. They're not going to tell us what they're going to do with it.
What was the money for?
Right. They don't know. We don't know.
They borrow
so they can go to New York City. I mean,
but Jeff's talking about this money coming in, which is great. But they were making these decisions to go after $25 million in debt, which flips to 50 when it's paid back, for no reason whatsoever. We don't even know because they've got things hidden, and that's why they don't want to be in that town hall because they don't want to answer.
To go to New York because anything you do nowadays you can do online.
I don't know. I guess the county needed to pay for a trip for Durham and Brock and David Root and somebody else to go up there.
Tell us, Jeff, what happened the last time the county sent a contingent out of town?
Oh, you want to know the?
Yeah, tell us.
All right.
Let's
Well,
let's have a history lesson. What happened last time?
No, wait, for real. If you needed a loan or anything else, at most, would you not just go to a bank? Why would you go to a whole other state?
Well, I can't
Why
answer.
don't we have a damn
real?
recall?
I got you.
For real.
Yeah, they should be. It's nothing about politics. It's nothing about their
What's a
political
plane
party.
ticket? What's
It's
a plane ticket to
recall.
New York cost now?
I don't know.
Does anybody know?
What's that word? Moral
Anybody know?
turpitude?
Any listeners know?
They went first class.
No, they did not go first class.
You know they did.
Well, let me just say for the record, I want to answer Rainey's question.
They didn't go on
I
Spirit
wouldn't
Air.
answer it.
They went Delta.
So in Oconee
just saying.
political history, there was a former supervisor and a certain member of law enforcement that took a trip to Charleston and was using the county credit card and was buying stuff, suntan lotion, books, I think. Come back, they arrest her for embezzlement.
The kind of books that Moms for Liberty don't like.
That's kind of about the truth.
Yeah.
And they arrested, and it became it became a whole nightmare. I mean, and this happened.
There was a lot that was born out of it.
Look,
right?
I'm telling you, yeah. Well, literally. But my point of it is, this is a pattern in Oconee County government. This is not the only time something like this has ever happened. It goes back into the 70s, and the folks that grew up here, they know this. We had a supervisor back in the 1970s and a civil defense director that was selling county equipment. These are facts. This is the truth. This happened. And then it just keeps going up and up and up. But no, I'm telling you.
I just wonder.
That happened.
You can't make it up.
You can't make it up.
I just wonder, that Mr. Durham, he donates all of his money that he gets for his opportunity to be on the council, the $8,000 a year. He's supposed to be
Oh,
giving
good for him.
Right, but now
That doesn't mean anything.
But my question is, did he pay for his own trip up there?
No, the county paid for it. You know the county paid for it.
So he probably made.
It's a business trip.
He probably spent more than $8,000 whining and dining people.
Well, no, the county did. The county
But that's what I'm
taxpayer
saying.
had the
But
we.
he got the benefit from that on our dime for something that we don't even know about
And we don't even want
Uh-huh.
it.
or won't.
We
Right.
don't want it. Nobody wants this because we know.
and aren't going to get the benefit to
Look,
even ask
hey,
about it because
hold on. If they came across and said, we've got this great plan that we need this $25 million that we want to divvy to the Joint Regional Sewer Water to fix our current infrastructure where we have sewer problems right now.
where people got doo-doo leaking in the cul-de-sac.
Okay,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, let me finish. Where there's potential infrastructure that's happening within the county in the areas that need it the most. If you're going to do that bond, what about these county roads?
Well, let me ask you a question.
You could
before
use
we
some
move
of these on these county roads. I would not have an issue if there was a plan laid out for $25 million to fix county roads, the poopy poops, and other things. But not to a pipe of dreams that will have absolutely no crap in it in 10 to 20 years down the road.
I agree. I absolutely agree. But I also disagree. I do not feel, as a resident of Long Creek, South Carolina, that if your septic service, your sewer service in Walhalla, Westminster, Seneca, or anywhere else is having trouble, I don't care. Because when I have a problem with my septic tank,
You're going to call somebody
and
to
I'm
fix
going to
it.
call the county and ask them to help me,
They're gonna laugh
They're
at
going to
you.
laugh at me.
Right.
So why, as a taxpayer, should I be concerned about what's happening in Seneca, Walhalla, Westminster, Fairplay, or any of those other places with my tax money?
Well, here's another thing too hold on. Here's another thing that we need to talk about this too. There is one thing that David Nix is right about. The only thing really. The sewer is the municipality's responsibility. It's Seneca, Walhalla, and Westminster. They make up the Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Water Authority. And at some point, if all hell were to break loose, guess who's on the hook for the sewer? It isn't Oconee County. It's the municipalities. Because the municipalities are the three joint people of the Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Water Authority.
But
it's
here-
not the
And then
county.
guess
The county's
what?
off the hook.
Guess what? You and I won't be able to afford our homes anymore.
No. And we
We'll have to move.
already faced the $95
but here-
fee we had to pay this summer.
But here's the thing, and then I'll let Chris talk. The OJSRA is its own
Entity.
organization. It has a billing structure. It collects money.
And they're raising it.
Now listen. The OJSRA should have its own ability to bond against the money it brings in. The county should not be on the hook for this. The OJSRA should be. And now my question is, I want to say this one thing about water. Larry D. Nix says water quality affects us all, and he brought this up, and I agree. How is your sewer bill brought to you? It's 2 times your water bill, right?
Yep, it comes with a water bill.
Okay. Pioneer has not said anything. Seneca
Nope.
Light and Water has not said anything.
Nope.
How are you going to bill if there's no water meters?
Yep.
Well, that down there in that area is Pioneer Water. It's not City of
It
Seneca.
doesn't matter
and
who
let
it
me just-
is.
let me
They've
just-
not piped up and said anything. So if there's no water meters, there's no poop meters, and how you going to pay for that?
Exactly. And here's the other thing. Let's just throw this out here. Maybe, just maybe, if this is all to get industry here and this is all the money is for industry, maybe we should consider quitting giving everything away with this fee in lieu of taxes nonsense. We're giving away every time somebody comes here. We're not taxing anybody, but yet we're going to build a sewer for these fictional, non-existent people. I don't understand, and we're passing it along to people that have been living here for years, and they need their actual sewer fixed where they actually live.
I want to answer more to it, but Chris, you've been holding on.
Okay, so
Sorry.
That's okay.
No, they're good points. I want to. This is a complicated issue, and I want to articulate a few things. So, Rannie, I understand what you're saying about you have a septic. I do too. I don't have sewer. okay? You also talk about the roads and everything. Okay, well, I don't have kids in school. So why am I paying any school tax? Why am I paying for roads up in Mountain Rest? Because we all have to pay our fair share, period. That doesn't matter. And I don't have an issue with that. That's just the way it is.
But
If you're
you
gonna-
said fair.
Yeah, your
Yeah,
fair
I thought
share.
we established that you were paying more than your fair share
no, wait a
last
minute.
week.
No, wait, let me finish. You pay your fair share. The whole issue that I have with this is we have a lot of moving parts in what we've been doing with the sewer. We've got this stuff we're talking about trying to draw business in. We have this stuff where we're talking about infrastructure that we know is failing because the guy that led that OJRSA said there was at least $50 million, okay? Now they're talking about extending all this other stuff. What you do not have is a cohesive plan that they've laid out so we can, you don't need something that's 50 pages. You could do a 2-page chart. This is what we're doing and this is why we're spending the money. We don't know. They're going out and spending $25 million here. They're now talking about doing other things above and beyond what they said about Sewer South. Now we've got this municipal crap going on. And I'm telling the truth, I have no idea what these guys are doing with this money, and that's bad.
I want to go back to Kathy. I want to add a little bit. You're correct in what you say. Absolutely. The issue that we have of the fee in lieu of is that we'll give a business $7 million taxes. This is just a roundabout figure. And they'll come into Oconee. They may invest in 120, maybe if that, 250, 150, whatever jobs. But they're only here for a short time. They only stay here for like 5 or 6 years, and then they'll pack up and go somewhere else where they can get the best deal. So the time that the taxes come due that they have to start paying taxes, they up and leave. And that's the issue. We've been giving free money away for so many years. A very good example is the development down in Clemson that I call Clemsonville, where the old West Point Stevens plant is down there.
Yep.
That's the pier now. In that particular deal, we gave $7 million check to a developer, but yet we're on the hook now for paving that parking lot and maintaining that parking lot down there.
Mm-hmm.
Now again, who got the best deal of that?
And it's on Oconee's side, so we have to police it.
And we have to police it.
Fire and everything
Corinth
else.
Shiloh is responsible for it.
Yep.
And the only thing we did get out of it, now there is something we got out of it, and I can't remember if the Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority is part of it, but there was a sewer plant down there that could make so many gallons a day that the old West Point Stevens plant had. But we have these little deals right here that we come to find out 5 or 10 years later, we got to pay, the county's got to pave a parking lot. Now, we shouldn't be in the business of paving damn parking lots. That's not our responsibility.
Hey, I saw on Facebook that David Hubbard is retiring. So the county's going to be in a world of hurt.
Yeah.
When it comes to paving.
Really?
I saw on Christy's Facebook
Really?
page that he's retiring.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but Chris, state of South Carolina, for people over 65, they get a $50,000. It says on the first $50,000, the fair market value of your place of dwelling after you turn 65 will be tax exempt. And
It's not that much, though.
well, it is for most seniors that live in the county.
Okay, so how much? 50th on the first $50,000.
On your first $50,000.
How much?
So you get it's all exempt.
$50?
No, it's all exempt, tax free, up to
So if you have a house
$50,000.
that's $50,000, you
Right.
don't pay real estate.
But here's the thing. You know what it's assessed at $50,000. You know, if you lived in it from the time you were 18 till now, that could be $1 million house because they only really go up when you sell. It's
Yeah.
a point of sale state, right?
Yeah.
And that's why that when you saw the McMahan farm's 12 acres and he's paying $700 in tax. Well, I've got 12 acres in Mountain Rest, and I've got a homestead exemption, and it's like $2,100 a year. So it's point of sale. So those elderly folks that's lived here all their life are not paying school tax, and they're not paying special assessments on real estate and things like that. So there are exemptions for most elderly folks.
So if you had moved here in 1980 something and bought your house for,
Well, you could have bought, about 1981, you could have bought an acre of property on Lake Kiwi for $25,000, but the problem is nobody could afford it around here.
Right.
I mean, it was too expensive. I mean, you only had people still working in the cotton mill.
And those fee in lieu of agreements aren't necessarily always bad.
They're not bad, no.
Because
but
if a company comes in and says, "Hey, we need sewer, and we're willing to pay for our sewer from where it's collected here all the way to the treatment plant, we're willing to pay for that." As long as we're not getting taxed over the next 5 or 6 years,
and
that's a big benefit for the
And
county.
didn't somebody offer to do that
Yes.
for a housing development?
Yes, it was right down
And
here.
they said no?
That was on 123 where Paul's Diner's at
And
in
they said
Greenfield
no?
Industries, and they said no. And they
And
were
it
willing
actually
to pay
needed,
for it.
They actually needed repairs down that way, and it needed to be redone too. And they said
And
no.
could you imagine if they had adequate sewer running down 123 between Seneca and Clemson, how it would grow with business? And we would have major business growth.
there's not a ton between. Well, I mean, there's what was it, Hartwell Village or whatever.
Hartwell
right there.
Village, and it's coming back this way.
And then
because
coming back this way up until
You-
the new eye doctor or whatever.
well,
There's not.
You do
a ton
realize
of
that
stuff.
Clemson's landlocked. Clemson, South Carolina
can't get
cannot
any
grow.
bigger. Nope.
There's nowhere for them to grow. So the only way that Clemson can grow is towards Oconee County. And the worst thing that Clemson University should
They
have
got
done.
thousands of acres in Oconee County.
They
anyway.
do. But what Clemson University made the mistake on, and they had the opportunity to buy it, they could have bought that property down there where Hartwell Village is at. They could have expanded the campus. Well, you see, now they've moved everything over towards the airport side. You've got the police department over there now. You've already got the new boat ramp that the county paid, which has turned into huge dividends for recreation, by the way. They spent that money. So Clemson can only grow one way,
There's
and it's
a
got to come
devastatingly
towards.
handsome man that has an office over that way.
Well, if
Well,
that
thank you,
was a
Kathy.
plug.
That was a great plug for there. Listen,
She's thinking about him tonight.
I like Luke's comments. Clemson can grow skyscrapers, baby. We're seeing that now. It's kind of like College Avenue is going to tip off in the middle of Lake Hartwell, and it's going to flip upside down. There's too much weight.
But
Wait
there's
a minute. Let me say one thing. Okay, so with everything that we're spending on Sewer South,
Right.
We're probably going to be north of $100 million. Borrowing this 25 or whatever. Okay, now let's step back a second to what we see with the willy-nilly planning that's going on with these subdivisions.
Oh,
and all.
Lord.
Okay, now think about this.
I know.
Think about this. When I had that conversation in front of the Planning Commission, and I talked about the comprehensive plan and actually paying attention to that and actually looking at what we do to do the right thing so we can avoid an infrastructure implosion, we weren't talking a lot of money, less than $100,000. But Nix and all these guys are like, oh, we can't do that. Well, you can't do that. Okay, now, boom, everything has exploded. And what I'm going to say, and I'm telling you because people are seeing it now, you're going to see more money than you will ever understand how it happened. And it's happening because they are not actively planning on where things are going to be and the impact it is to the infrastructure. That's good. That is what's going to cost. And you're looking at multiple hundreds of millions to do that.
I agree. Real quickly before we go, I want to mention we have a very important county council meeting coming up Tuesday.
Oh, that's right.
And we're going to do something that we've never done here on the show. And we've had people actually ask that they would like to be able to have a place that they could comment and talk about county council meetings, because you can't comment on the Your Oconee YouTube channel. They've got it turned off. So
I wonder why.
I wonder why, too. So coming up at 6
Need to get
p.m.
brave like Pickens.
Coming up Tuesday evening at 6 p.m., we're going to have, are you all going to be able, Kathy, I can set you up to join remote if you want to, or you can be here. Either way, you just let me know what's going to work best for you. So 6 o'clock, we're going to go live. We're going to be here doing a roundtable, and we'll have the capabilities to stop and start so that if we need to talk about something, we can. I think this is going to be something unique. It's never been tried, but we're going to do it. We have the technology, and we're going to utilize Let's Talk Oconee's platform and our streaming capabilities for folks to be able to, for once, to comment and be engaged and involved. You folks need to see this for yourself.
Right. So, like, for an example, when you could stop something and we can ask questions and look at it. So if one of these guys, the OCC majority guy say something very weird, I mean, we can actually analyze that. For
Yes.
Okay. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure.
Yep, we'll be able to pause and stop. And again, like I said, the show could go on for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. But I feel it's important that Tuesday night, I believe that Christie's coming to council chambers. And I think that's to set the millage. So we're going to be involved with that, and we're excited to be able to bring that to you.
And then I have a surprise guest. We won't announce who.
Yes, after that.
On Wednesday that
Yeah.
I'm going to be interviewing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Randy, did you have something before we go into our next segment here?
I do, yeah. First, Luke was asking what was written on the notebook, so I was just showing.
Hard time.
No.
So
Number 49.
I wanted to go back about this elderly tax issue that Chris brought up. And, Wayne McCall.
Pull your microphone closer. There you go.
Wayne
Thank
McCall, he said that he donated his money to that church that pays taxes for the elderly that can't afford it. But, the OCC leaned on that, and Don Mize leaned on that when he ran against you. One of the things that he said was that he wanted to eliminate taxes for the elderly in
He did.
Oconee County.
He did.
And he said that was something he wanted to do. But now he's been in office for almost, a year?
He can't.
He's not even approached that.
No.
But that was something they used. But to find out that the first $50,000 of of a senior's home is not taxed anyway.
My mom turned 65, and she's now 70-something, and that's correct. And her tax bill did come down.
It significantly drops.
Probably $45, $50 on that first $50,000 of what her home was. But remember, her home was built, and it was valued back in 2006 is when she built it. So,
okay.
yeah.
Well, if she was able to build a very nice home in 2006,
right,
and that's 2023 now, she should be able to pay her taxes and afford those taxes. But if someone who bought a mill house in the mill village in the 80s,
right,
and that all fell apart, and they're barely getting by,
that's right,
and they're elderly, and they turn 65, that house value is not going to be over $50,000. So you know how much they're paying? Nothing.
Well, you would think, though, if it's a washout, they should be potentially getting something back, and it could work that way.
Right, but they're
I don't know anybody that's paying nothing though.
But if if you read the tax laws,
Yeah.
they are set there because we as a people care about our elderly. We care about our youth. That's why we have those programs to take care of our children and our old folks.
All right.
And this is just another one of them. And so I think that it's sad that some of these local politicians would use that tactic to get elected.
Well, it's
just disingenuous.
It was. That he did say that during the campaign that, he wanted to get rid of the seniors didn't have to pay taxes. And again, I knew that wasn't the case. You're not going to be able to do that. That's
right. It's set by the state.
That's set by the state of South Carolina.
And here's the thing: when the state, when you fill out a disability or a senior homestead exemption, you send it to the state comptroller and the Department of Revenue.
Yep.
And they say, yes, sir, Mr. Rowan, yes, sir, Mr. Bond, you guys are exempt from tax.
Why me? Why use my name?
But here's the deal.
But here's the thing. The state still pays the county that money. It still comes here. The county's not out any money at all. So there's no loss for the county.
Well, if you want my honest opinion, I don't even think there needs to be property taxes. I'd rather pay 2 or 3 extra % on what I purchase, and knowing that.
Did you go to the Libertarian State Convention?
Probably,
because that's what they want.
No, but I'd rather have no property tax. Like Florida, you have no property taxes in Florida.
Well, we didn't in Texas either.
Right, I'd rather have no.
Oh, you have property taxes.
But I had a $150,000
Yeah.
house in Texas. I was paying $7,000.
Right, but I'd rather have no property taxes.
Well,
we're already paying too damn much taxes now in the federal side of things.
You don't have income tax in Florida. You have property tax in Florida, and you have sales tax in Florida. So let's make sure we keep it.
I got it mixed up.
So-
He's right.
So
Okay.
and in Texas, you don't have income tax either.
Well,
that
still.
was the
But
that
you
was
pay
the
a crap
best.
load in real estate.
So that was the best benefit in the military was when you got stationed in Florida or Texas or Alaska or somewhere like that.
but
You
Roger's-
you changed it up and you wrote down.
Roger is right. Property taxes are regressive. regressive. I totally agree.
And you know what? If you just had, and I've talked to a lot of conservative Republicans that agree, a larger sales tax and no property tax and no income tax, that puts more money in our pockets.
That's right.
To spend more money.
Right.
We get more things personally, plus the state and the county gets a whole lot more money.
I'm going to shoot that thing.
You told
Go
me not to
ahead. Go
interrupt.
ahead. Go ahead.
No
Is that
gunplay.
fair? Is that fair? Look, that's red
That's
dot.
better.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Now, I understand what you're saying, but this is what I want. This is what I want to ask. I want to ask a very basic question. So, we have these guys that go to these that are on the planning commission, and then Durham and all these guys. And this isn't singling them out, but I'm just asking the truth. When we have this planning and we have this implosion happen, and we are looking at literally $200 to $300 million in 10 years. Over 10 years that we got to pay. Who pays for that?
The taxpayer.
Yeah, but it's not federal. It's going to be, and it won't be state. It's going to be county. So all this crap that all these guys are doing, and you talk about these people, because when I talked to the planning commission, I said the biggest concern I have are the people that have worked in for their homes for their entire lives, that when this happens, they can lose their homes like happened to my parents in the Great Depression. So people need to understand this. You're seeing this happen. When that happens, that hundreds of millions of dollars, it will happen the way things are going. It's going to be on the shoulders of everybody in this county. Mm-hmm. And you know what? That's who you ought to be screaming at and asking about that.
All right, we need to move on because we're coming up towards the end of the show, and I wanted to save the best for last. So by now, they're on Monday of last week, Luke and Jennifer Moore had an interview with the former chairman of the Oconee County Republican Party, David McMahan. And we actually broke that down on Tuesday night. Mm-hmm. They were guests of LTO. They came on the show, and I want to thank them for sharing that interview with all of our listeners and stuff. And there was just some very interesting comments that were made by David McMahan. And I'm going to clarify something here real quick, that in the news articles that was in the Journal written by Riley Morningstar, and some of the answers that McMahan were given, these are things that he was quoting in the paper. Okay, so we're going to go back 1 year. A lot of these things that was in the paper did not match what he actually said during the interview. So if you haven't watched it, I urge you to go to More to the Story and watch it for yourself. There's 4 different clips, and you can see it for yourself. But
mix a drink.
Yeah, you'll probably need that or some popcorn or something to tide you over, and use the bathroom first before you go. So there was a couple of questions at the end of the interview. One of those questions at the end of the interview that has been the topic throughout Oconee County right now is concerning the rap song. Mm-hmm. And the way he responded.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
The way he responded. Now, I'm gonna say this, because I know that this is being taped. I know that he's got a copy of all the shows. We already know that. But if you asked a direct question, Rannie, if I asked you, Rannie, was your son involved in the making of a rap song at Walhalla Middle School?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, right. That's what you would say. That's what the average person would say if it was that they had nothing to do with it. But his answers were not what we were expecting.
Well,
and he didn't shake on it either.
Well,
his whole interview was not what anybody would expect.
It was all over the road. Now, let me say this. He was a former investigator with the Oconee County Sheriff's Office.
I can't see why the former is there.
I mean, Lord mercy. I mean, here he comes with this binder, this whole big thing, and throwing
like
out
an accordion file.
Yeah, it's like an accordion file, throwing stuff out. But then when Luke would ask questions, he would answer a certain way. But yet, if you go look at the history of the articles that he quoted, he made the statement to Riley in those reports going back all of last year.
Well,
they didn't match.
That's the importance of the press. is they chronicleize. I'm gonna put that with capital era, but they put things in order, okay, and they hold that history because history, if you break it down, is his story, and whoever writes it down, that's who gets to tell it, right?
All right.
Well, in history, he said X, Y, and Z. In present day interview, he said A, B, and C, which don't match X, Y, and Z.
It doesn't.
Now, that's not a problem with reporting. That's a problem with his memory. He doesn't actually remember things like it was yesterday. And if he remembers that stuff like it's yesterday, he don't remember what tomorrow's going to bring.
Well, you bring up something good, though. I remember it like yesterday, but I can't think of the name.
Right. And then he would show you something, and he'd say, well, it's kind of not in order, and you'll figure it out when you look at it.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't mail it to me. How am I going to look at it? Did he give it to you?
No.
He didn't put it up to
and I
the
bet you-
screen where anybody could see it.
And I bet you he didn't give it to Luke either. I bet Luke doesn't have a copy.
No, I bet Luke didn't get to keep it either.
He might have a copy. I don't know. Tell us, Luke. But did you? And if you do have a copy, did you rifle through it, try to put it together, and use yarn and stuff on the wall like a real Dick Tracy detective to figure it out? But
Well, the other thing, go ahead. I'm going to finish up, and then I'm going to come back to something else.
this rap song.
Luke does not have a copy.
Okay. This rap song. David Nix and that other guy
The propaganda ministers for the OCC.
said that
Who's
that's
that? Her
old,
next?
that it's old news and we should move on from it.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, they really quickly will jump up and say, well, Glenn Hart was in Vietnam 50 years ago, and he saw some terrible things, and that probably still affects him right now, and we should claim he's a hero. PTSD does affect warriors. It also affects police officers. It affects rape
Domestic
victims.
violence survivors.
It affects
Let me press the button.
it affects teachers who have been told that they better not go to the grocery store because they might get 50 rounds from a blick in the back of their head.
Yeah.
Seniors getting beat up.
Or the poor teacher that they talked about her daughter and the things they wanted to do to her in that song.
Jesus.
That
Yeah.
stuff, I can guarantee you,
Yeah.
they remember like it happened yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Okay.
and when it was being talked about in the 300 and something comments, and a parent said, yeah, they're bullies and they're still bullying my kid.
And let me tell you,
And bragging about it. So yeah, when he says he don't know, maybe he don't know who those kids are, but they put that on social media, and those parents and those kids that saw it, everybody knows.
powerless.
but let me
Now
t-
we're not going to say any names here because we're respectful, and we don't want Roberta coming over here knocking on the door at Chris's house. But the fact of the matter is, everybody knows you can play games, but everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Housekeeping.
Housekeeping. But yeah, everybody knows the answer to that question that was asked, and it wasn't me that asked the question. But they asked a question that they knew the answer to. And here's the thing, as a parent of a child who can't talk and wouldn't even know to run from a gun, it is sickening that that was not handled better. And it is sickening that a parent would not take care of that issue and be more concerned, and that would put it off like it is no big deal. Okay? That's what right there. Okay, because that was the day after a mass shooting where somebody,
Absolutely.
a teenager went to an elementary school. So, as a parent of an elementary school age student, a disabled student that could not get away from a shooter, that is what the issue is. And that is why people are still answering the question, Mr. Nix. That is why. That is why.
Y'all
So
stand.
you can take a seat.
Stand.
All right, we're gonna
With
stand.
your grown
Wait a minute,
children.
Stand.
yeah.
All right. Check that. Wait, look at my tower. Look at my
That is-
tower.
That is the third show in a row
She's getting
that
fired up.
she has gotten fired up. Woo!
Okay.
But
Let me.
Now-
Let me.
now,
What you said. Let me just say one
there's
thing
your answer.
about
and,
this
and
interview.
it will not go away. The district did fail at that, okay?
They
and
did.
people refuse to answer the questions, but that was not my question.
But the problem
But people
is,
already knew the answer,
you're
sir.
going to talk about the interview. I want to talk about this.
But
right
that's
here.
it. That's all I have to say.
So here's the thing. The fastest growing conservative movement in Oconee County that they say they are, that attacked teachers about diversity in the classroom. They attack here, they attack there, they attack all these other places. They were absolutely zero, net quiet, nothing said, nil heard on this issue. The OCC did not say anything about it.
That's true.
You're next.
And not only that, they didn't say anything about that. But when they don't stand up for domestic violence, they don't stand up for any of these other really tough issues. That's the question that I have is why. If you are Christian, God-fearing, people-loving,
It doesn't matter if you're Christian, anybody.
you should, but that's what they say they are. And those people are the very people that should be standing up for the teachers, for the students, for the administrators.
They're protecting.
Well, what is it?
And they're deflecting.
What is it that they're protecting? And
One of
why
their
are they
own.
deflecting?
Each other.
Right. I mean, and you got these
Because
these
they're
these
bullies.
OCC group members that are in the paper that are going to court with pedophiles. That are going to court with folks that attack young kids.
Can I?
You know what? It's just like somebody said that you bottom line it. You bottom line the whole thing. They're just not good people.
Well, let me.
Okay?
And last Thursday,
And they made that club, and they can throw stones at us and try to nitpick and keep your file and whatever and
threaten
threaten.
to
Well, they do. I
sue.
mean, we've got proof that they've collected information on all of us. But also, here's something I want to add to it over
ahead
that
and look.
over what book this is right here. Here it is. If you noticed in the interview, who did he call and who did he get to send text or call and contact?
Absolutely.
It was his pastor of his church.
Yep.
It was Barry Owens of the sheriff's department.
Yeah.
Okay?
And
this is the same, wait a minute, this is the same deputy that stood in front of a judge pleading for leniency.
For someone who molested a little girl.
All right, let me get Chris on. Chris?
Okay. So
Boo.
this is back to the interview.
Boo.
And this is back to David McMahan. I want to set a couple of things straight on his interview because he sits there and he ruffles his papers. Okay, so McMahan, you're listening to this.
Oh, yeah.
You said I called you a drunk. You're lying. What happened was you started posting a bunch of crap about this road I live on that you found sex toys, basically, can I say it?
Yes, go ahead.
Basically a dildo, and we talked about sexual assault. Everybody can laugh and think it's funny. I'm married. I got a family. And I said, oh, you better stop. You got to go up to the ABC store. I never called you a drunk. But you're such an asshole that you would say that about my family because you think you can bully us. And it just can't happen.
Honeybees in it,
because we
too.
have the law. Why would you say something like that? Yet you sit there and you talk with Luke and shake your hand and all that, and I'm a good Christian. Bullshit.
well, you know what, Chris, that is true. And Jeff, you were there at the Republican meeting last Thursday,
I was.
and we were talking about the child trafficking.
Yep.
And I brought up the fact that the major contributor to this movie, Sound of Freedom,
Oh, God, yes.
was
Yes.
arrested for kidnapping a 14-year-old girl.
Yep.
And that Tim Ballard himself has now been accused
Yep.
of touching children. Okay? The reaction from the OCC folks at that meeting made me sick to my stomach. That they would say something. Well, he's not guilty until he's proven guilty. He's only been charged.
Are
He
you
was only
kidding me?
arrested.
Why?
That's the same thing that they come
but-
out of their mouth.
Are you kidding me?
No, that
No,
happened,
that
and it's
happened.
taped.
I've got it taped.
So, but here's the thing, and this is what makes me the sickest about it all, is that damn Hillary Clinton was right. These fucking people are deplorable.
Well, sure. Well,
That is terrible
What's
to know that they're they're hiding these kids that want to kill their teachers and other students. They're wanting pedophiles not to be in jail. And then the second one, it was like, oh well, he was a cop, so it wasn't really that bad. So let's get him out of jail. And then you just keep adding up all this deplorable crap. And you want me to vote for them? You want me to be? You want me not to talk about them?
It's just a smelly mess.
Well,
I mean, and the whole thing about the rap and the whole thing about the kids is they're kids. They're 13. Okay, they're not a done deal. Nobody. I would never say that they're a done deal. But to just dismiss other parents' fears
and concerns,
they're valid fears, because you have no idea what it's like for a parent, especially the day after a mass shooting, for that kind of thing to go on. It makes you think. A 13-year-old knows.
Sure they do.
Well, they know.
Well, look at
They know.
What if
you've got to wonder. That was calculated, man. You got to wonder what's going on there. And you've got to wonder, with all these school shootings, the Townville shooting, the kid didn't go to his high school. He didn't go to the middle school. He went back to the elementary school. The Uvalde shooting went to the elementary school. So as a mom of an elementary school kid, that is highly disturbing. And I'm not the only parent that feels that way. All anybody wanted was some damn assurance. Other than, oh, you can't know nothing. You can't. We took care of it. We took care of it.
Yeah, right.
You know, come on, man. And then to have somebody from this conservative group who's doing a great job, y'all, to say, just get over it. When you've got grown kids, sit down and shut up, man. Get a grip. You know, don't tell me how to feel. Your kids are grown, okay?
She needs a box now.
Your kids are grown.
You could say asshole.
Your kids are grown.
No, she needs a box. She's got to have her own personal box.
Because it's ridiculous.
It is.
It is ridiculous.
Now I need to go ahead because we're running out of time here.
Sorry.
But there was a couple. No. You're speaking from a mother's point of view, and that's the way
and
it should be. And
that's
a father's.
good.
I mean, you're speaking from the heart. That's the truth. This is how you feel. And that's one of the reasons why we put this show together, to discuss these issues. Now, in the interview, it was suggested that I get y'all under control. Not once, but twice. So I've come up with an idea to get y'all under control. I'm going to make Chris stand in this corner. Kathy stands right there. Randy, y'all stand in the corner. And we're going to have a 5-minute timeout while I continue the show. Because he never said anything about me, get me under control. I will tell you this. This show is not propaganda, as it was said in the interview. We do this show for the love of our county. We're here. We are friends. We all have different point of views. But I think that group could take a lesson from us.
Oh, hell yeah. Why you know what's that saying about a hurt dog gonna holler? Yeah. Right?
So there's some comments coming in here, and I want to address it. Luke, I'm not talking about every Trump supporter out there. I am talking about the I am OCC T-shirt wearing, white supremacist sign showing people. She was absolutely right about them, and it makes me sick.
All right. Luke also says, Kathy is spot on again. We need to know so we can protect our children from the bad people in the area. And it's true. I mean, again, at the end of the day, I'm going to shoot that thing. I'm telling you, it's coming.
It's an alert. It's an alert just to tell you that
all you got to do is look at me and say, hey, Chris, I got a question. No, seriously, I was told to get y'all under control. I am not getting y'all under control. You're each free, guarded the right of free speech. And that was another thing. Oh, I'm for free speech. I mean, I'm for free speech and free speech and free speech.
Did he call us enemies of the state?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he did. I remember that.
Did he call it enemies? We're enemies of the state. Now, I missed that.
One of them.
Really? Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that.
Well, I like that.
Wow, I do too.
Well,
we might need T-shirts.
Enemies of the State. That's a great movie.
But really, though.
Enemies of the state. Okay, I missed that.
But really, though, when we talk about who patriots are, and this is another thing that really chaps my rear end. I was at church this morning, And this little lady walks up to me, and she said, Rannie, I really want to tell you thank you for the articles you write in the paper. She said, there's an element of our community that's destroying our community.
Yeah.
And, you know, she was old enough to know what happened in 1944 and those times. And those people are still, those folks understand. They get it.
They get it.
But if we don't get it quickly, that stuff's going to take over the county again.
Well, I think it's not only taking over the county, it's going to take the state, and it's already taken over the country.
It's trying to, but I'm telling you right now, if you look closely, there's a silver lining, just like on this tablecloth. There is a silver lining to all this stuff.
Well, it ain't white.
These folks are coming up. They're coming up. They're getting gross. They're getting grosser, and they get more and more deplorable, crueler and crueler, and they're letting everybody know who they are. That way, we just stay the hell away from them.
Right.
They will cancel themselves from society with the things they're doing.
Right. Let me say something. And you know, when Kathy was talking about her children, and I agree. When my daughter was in 8th grade, I got a phone call from the principal of the school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm going to be honest. It was Gladys. I mean, I worked a lot. You know, I was there when she needed, but in the end, everything the kids have accomplished, it's Gladys. But I got a call. And the first thing I said was, I had a meeting going on, and I said, she told me who she was. I thought, okay, everybody, just give me a minute. She got out, and she said, this is so-and-so from the principal. And I was in my chair. I literally started getting dizzy because I knew something was going on. She said, hey, and I said, oh, my God, literally, I almost started crying. All I could think of is because Anthony was already in high school and I knew he was in middle school.
You think she's hurt? She's sick?
No, I didn't think that. They couldn't get. I thought there was a shutdown or something at school.
Yeah.
And she goes, no. We got everything's fine. I said, what? She goes, she found a hit list in a locker, and this girl had this hit list of these girls that she was going to shoot. Now, 3 days before the end of school, and they thought it would cool off. As a parent, I cannot even begin to tell you how frightened I was. And I was just having a regular day. So when you talk about that, Kathy, and now I got grandkids. So when you look at what happened in this county, and these kids were saying that, and you got husbands, got wives that are teachers, and they're talking about that rape, they're talking about that killing. Guys, and then people will defend that with they're just kids. That's bullshit. That was horrible and traumatic for those families.
I wonder what this group would say if we had, God forbid, a situation that Townville Elementary School had, where the kid came in and shot Osborne. I wonder what this group would say if we had something like that happened.
Depends on if they knew him.
Well, here's the thing. I'll tell you what.
And listen, there was a track record. There was a whole history level that this poor kid... He brought a daggum, what was it, a sword to school?
A machete.
A machete, yeah. And there was a track record.
And they should have done better with that,
that's true. And
But that whole situation was tragic. I mean, the kid needed help, and law enforcement and mental health wasn't there to help him.
No, but the school district swept it under the rug.
Absolutely, they did. They sure did. That was tragic. That was terrible. But I'll tell you what, if you go and look at the Journal, and there was an article about the Osborne boy that did that down in Townville, and they adjusted his sentence. Now he can actually get out of prison at some point.
Yeah, 90, they say.
89. Well, I don't care. I don't think he should ever get out of prison.
The thing is, they did change his sentence, so he is getting counseling, is my understanding.
Well, yes, that's correct.
Finally.
You don't really need any counseling if you're never getting out.
I
disagree with that.
I disagree with that.
But the thing about it is the OCC ain't saying anything in that article either.
That's true.
They're not saying a word. They want to talk about me.
You know what?
I've got their attention.
Yeah.
And while I have their attention, and we had that interview, and Mr. McMahan said my name wrong, and so did you, Luke. It's not Rannie. It's Rannie. Okay. It's not been rainy here since early August. Okay. It's Rannie. My wife is telling me to tell you guys this. I don't really care. But anyway,
She has a cute little illustration that she like the ran and then knee. Yeah.
so anyways, while I have their attention, the topic of the interview, when there could have been so much other stuff talked about, they want to talk about a notebook. Mm-hmm. Well, when all this was happening, and I didn't have a notebook, I never had the notebook, I never saw the notebook. I left that building when I called to adjourn the meeting because Mr. McMahan refused to follow the agenda that he had set. He refused to do what he said he was going to do in his own meeting, wouldn't move from that. I called for adjournment, and it was seconded, and that was the end of the meeting. I left the building. I carried your camera equipment outside.
You did.
I set it up. I had a very pleasant conversation with Doug Hedden for whatever amount of time that they were in the building. I never re-entered the building. Matter of fact, Matt Durham and Doug Hedden and myself and Jim Mann and I think Riley were all outside. We talked for a very long time. I never went back in the building. I never had this guy's book. Didn't want that guy's book. But here, what I have done, and I did do back then, and as you can see, it's kind of faded here because I kept it in my truck window so that if they saw me in town and they wanted it, I'd give it to them. And it does have a name here. It does say it's the 49th copy, and it belongs to Dipshit. Okay, that's what it says. And inside, now, things are kind of jumbled up in here. Okay, they're not in order, and I didn't have time to put it in order back then or now. But when I give it to you, you'll get the gist. You'll know kind of what it says there, Mr. McMahan. And I'm sure you can put them together.
It's basically go fluff yourself.
Well, I mean, you can make out of it whatever you want.
Yeah.
But I didn't have time to put it together. But anyway, here's your notebook that I'll be more than glad to get back to you.
Okay.
But that's all I have there, and I'm very happy to be associated with Jim Mann and most of the Republican Party. Very good people over there trying to do a great thing.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and find. We got to wrap this show up. But the final thing I want to add to what you said, number one, I was there Thursday night of that meeting, and I definitely saw who was trying to create issues. You know, it's legitimately if you have a concern and have a discussion, but they wasn't there to have a discussion. There was four people on one side. There was one over the other corner. And then you had one or two others over here. They're not in the business of doing the right things and discussions. No, it's to try to create the havoc, and that's given what they've done from day one. This group continues and continues. And look, this isn't been. We're telling you the truth.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've posted this stuff before that you can see, but we're not going to sit here. None of us are going to take it We don't have to take it.
No.
We don't. We're tired of it.
And you know what they say? Hey, why don't you go to the planning meeting? Why don't you go? You know why? We got a good runway here. We can tell. I don't need to trade stink eye with all these whack jobs.
No,
and these
I don't.
I can talk right here.
Well, that's one of the reasons why on Tuesday night we're going to take it to the next level.
But you know what? When we take it to that next level Tuesday, instead of 75 people watching from home, 3,333 people are going to have the opportunity to see it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Most of them are going to take it.
And a lot of them are going to be able to
that's
comment.
going to be the first time that the county has had real, transparent access to a county council meeting.
Yes.
And, you know, we ought to make it pay-per-view. That way we can fund some of this stuff.
Like SmackDown or something.
Yeah, baby.
But you know, I was wanting to buy that Oconee conservative stuff, but I heard it's already been sold.
Well, that's a whole different issue
we
that I still.
wrapping up?
Yeah, we're getting ready to wrap up, but that's something else that I didn't quite understand, and I still don't believe I have the whole story on that. Did the Republican Party buy podcast equipment, or did they not?
I don't know.
And I don't know what the answer is, but to me, that kind of alluded. I don't think that answer that he gave was actually specifically clear.
Right.
There was a whole. Listen, you just got to go see it. And again, we love our county. We love what we do. No matter what they say, we are a news source. Okay,
you might not like the news.
You might not like the news, like it or lump it. But again, that's what we are. We are afforded that right under the Constitution of the United States of America. Okay? That's part of, he said it, free speech.
Absolutely.
But when your free speech intimidates, attacks, and threatens to kill, we stop that. And we're going to.
Yeah.
Right, Chris?
And they won't like the interviews this week.
No, there is some interviews that is forthcoming this week that will be scheduled.
Conversations with Chris.
Yes, there is some interviews that
Did you get that late?
Yeah, there is an interview forthcoming that I believe
Two.
he's got two of them that I think is going to be quite
I tell you
interesting
what,
for folks to.
That'll screw up an election cycle.
It'll be
Yes.
a blockbuster.
Oh my God!
It is going to be a blockbuster.
A total blackout.
So
So
anyway,
who goes first?
I want Rannie to go first tonight. You've been going first for the no. Check that. I want Kathy to go first.
all right,
I
all right.
said what
then
I had
who's
to
after
say.
Kathy? Let's get the rules.
Because Kathy, you were spot on tonight, and you were.
I said it.
You were targeted.
I
She
said
is,
what I
she
had
is.
to- I
But who
said
goes
what I had
after
to say.
Kathy? Come on, you know he's going to try to take it.
Y'all
Go, Randy.
What? You don't have anything?
You get a
Well,
deduction.
I mean, that's just I watched the interview and that fired me up, and so that's what I have to say. I mean, it's ridiculous for you to expect us as parents not to be concerned. And for that to just go away. So yeah, that was a ridiculous thing to say. So
agree.
and
Let him
yeah, I
go,
hope
let
everybody
me
has a
play
good
that.
week.
But I'm
It's
playing
been a good
this.
weekend, and y'all stay safe and be nice.
You'll play it?
No,
if
you
possible.
play
Well,
Go ahead.
Here's the thing: never play checkers with the chess master, and that's what's been happening. And these tit for tats, they get way out of hand, and it's going to show one side or the other who you really are. And at the end of the day, which organization's character is more reproachable? Is it going to be the OCRP? Is it going to be the OCC in all of this? So real quick, shout out for the NAACP. Don't forget about that.
Yes.
Go to that awards banquet. That'd be great.
Wags the whiskers.
Wags the Whiskers is coming up, right?
14th.
And,
yep, I'll be there. Chris, and when is it? It's
No,
14th.
it's the following weekend.
Oh, it's right. Yes, that's right. It's the 20th. Sorry.
The leaves are changing. You guys be careful when you come up the mountain looking at leaves. Watch the road.
Okay. Chris? I knew this was coming.
It's for Rannie in that book.
Well, Sean does. You got it. Chris does have a bombshell. Okay, you can stop
I
it
think
now.
it's gonna be a media blackout.
Wait a minute.
No, you can stop it.
I am. I'm trying. I can't turn it down.
Hey, I got one more thing, and if I fail to mention it, I'll get grounded and I won't get to come play no more.
All right.
So October 4th, the FEMA is going to be doing some sort of testing with the 5G.
No. It is actually a national alert system test, and it will be all broadcasters. Your cell phones are going to go off. Your televisions are going to go off anywhere between, I think it's 1:50 and sometime around 2 o'clock. And they've done this test for the last 4 years. They skipped the COVID, but it's a test from FEMA and the Federal Communications Commission, and we will be participating in that if folks listen on 107.9.
All right. Well, there's a lot of folks that believe that there may be some conspiracy going to happen that day. So go out, read the internet, figure out for yourself whatever that is, and prepare yourself however you want to be. All right. Go ahead.
I want to thank everybody for watching. Every single week when you watch, it gives us energy. We want to tell you the truth. We got a lot more coming. Thank you.
You didn't do it. Kathy gave us energy tonight.
Woo! Kathy sure did.
Kathy gave us energy, but I want to thank you.
All right. Well, folks, I appreciate you all joining us tonight. We had a lot of great conversation, great comments from so many of you. And again, Tuesday night.
We'll see you next Tuesday.
No, this coming Tuesday.
No, this
That
Tuesday.
is
coming up.
next Tuesday.
No, this is
this
a new week.
Tuesday.
This Tuesday's a new week.
This,
so today's
not
the
that.
new week.
I,
So
I just wanted to say, see you next Tuesday.
well, anyway.
And I've got some loyal followers out there that knows exactly what that means.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry. All right, 6 o'clock Tuesday evening, we will be here. We'll break down as in live, real-time watching the county council meeting. So we hope that you can join us then. I'm Jazzy Jeff, along with Chris, Kathy, and Rannie. Rannie!
There you go. You got it right.
Have a good evening, everybody, and thanks for listening to Let'sTalkOConeeSC.com.